Hello everyone. Back again with film recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap one of the thriller crime films from 2018, titled Believe Me, The Abduction of Lisa McVey. Before we get to the storyline, I'd like to wish everyone a happy and great day. Without further ado, let's get straight to the storyline. Based on a true story, the movie opens in Tampa, Florida, in 1984, where we meet a teenage girl named Lisa McVey, who works at a donut shop. After working all day, Lisa finishes her shift at night, and heads home on her bicycle. But during the ride, she begins to recall the night a man crept into her room, and brutally assaulted her. Next, Lisa notices a black car parked nearby, which immediately makes her feel uneasy, before she finally reaches home. The next morning, Lisa writes a letter in which she mentions that she feels trapped in this place, and fears it's never going to end. We then meet her grandmother, Diane, and her boyfriend, Morris, who turns out to be the same man who has been repeatedly assaulting Lisa. She speaks with her sister, Lori, on the phone, and the girls express how much they miss each other. Lori, who lives with their mother, Betty, asks Lisa to come live with them. But Betty immediately refuses the idea, and tells Lisa to stay with her grandmother so she can help around the house. The scene then cuts to that night, where Lisa has just finished her double shift and is about to leave work when her boss, Ed, hands her pay. She sincerely thanks him for trusting in her to work at the front counter, so Ed tells her that the customers love her, before saying he'll see her on Monday, but Lisa remains silent and simply walks away, which surprises her boss. On her way home, Lisa realizes the same black car from the day before is following her once again. At one point, the vehicle drives past her, and she lets out a sigh of relief. But moments later, she spots the same car parked farther down the road. Then all of a sudden,
Don't make a sound.
a man holds her at gunpoint, and forces her inside the car, before he begins assaulting her. After he's finished, Lisa thinks she's finally going to be let go, but the man suddenly blindfolds her, and ties her hands. The terrified girl desperately begs him to release her, but he tells her he's not done with her yet, and is taking her somewhere more comfortable. Up next, he drives her to his apartment, where Lisa has no choice but to obey everything he says out of fear. He takes her into the bathroom, and forces her to shower with him, during which he brutally assaults her once again. After that, he takes Lisa to the bed, where he ties her hands and keeps her blindfolded so she can't see his face. As the nightmare continues, Lisa clings to happy childhood memories of spending time at the beach with Lori, her Uncle Jim, and Aunt Carol. The kidnapper then asks for her name and age, and Lisa lies, telling him her name is Carol, and that she is 20 years old. The answer seems to put him slightly at ease, as he believes he isn't hurting a child. When Lisa asks why he's doing this, he coldly replies that she deserves it because all women are the same. The next morning, Diane arrives at the police station to report that Lisa is missing. She tells an officer that Lisa was supposed to arrive home around 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning, but never did. Soon afterward, an officer visits Lori and Betty to inform them that Lisa has been reported missing, but Betty doesn't seem concerned and assumes Lisa simply ran away. She even calls her daughter ungrateful, but Lori informs the officer that Lisa would never leave without telling her. Back with Lisa, she recalls the time when she was younger and had just moved in with her grandmother. She was excited to finally have a room of her own, but Diane told her she would have to do certain things in exchange for living in such a nice home, and Lisa would soon learn how to treat men. In the present, the kidnapper approaches Lisa to assault her again, but she instead begins apologizing for the way women have treated him. She gently touches his face to inspect his features, and tells him she can tell he is very handsome. The unexpected compliment catches him completely off guard, and he removes the ties from her hands. At the same time, an officer visits Lisa's workplace and begins questioning her boss, Ed. Ed doesn't believe Lisa could have run away, describing her as a very responsible young woman. But he mentions that when she left work, she didn't respond after he told her, "See you Monday." Ed also recalls that she seemed unusually sad, and fears she may have tried to end her life. Meanwhile, the kidnapper makes breakfast for Lisa when he hears a news report about her disappearance. After learning that she's a teenager, He becomes furious at her for lying about her age, so Lisa insists the report got her age wrong and swears she's 19 and almost 20, but he doesn't believe her and proceeds to assault her again. Afterward, Lisa tells him she needs to use the bathroom, and he takes her there. She says she needs some privacy, and can't do it while he's watching, so the kidnapper reluctantly leaves her alone. As soon as he's gone, Lisa removes her blindfold, locks the door, and deliberately leaves her fingerprints all over the bathroom, before putting the blindfold back on. When he realizes she's taking too long, the kidnapper forces the door open, and takes Lisa out. He gets mad and threatens to hurt her, but Lisa calmly asks if she can serve him a glass of water, since it's so hot inside the apartment. Her unexpected composure catches the kidnapper off guard, and calms him down. While getting the water, Lisa carefully peeks through a small gap beneath her blindfold and notices a telephone in the room. That night, while the man is fast asleep, Lisa quietly makes her way to the telephone. But then... At that moment, the film flashes back to the time Lisa told her mother everything her grandmother had been forcing her to do. But instead of helping, Betty told her she could have a much worse life, and shouldn't expect anything better because her life is never going to improve. A heartbroken Lisa screamed that one day she will have a good family, and that she will become a far better mother than Betty ever was. In the present, a panicked Lisa tells the kidnapper that she was only trying to call her father to let him know she's okay. The man doesn't believe her, but Lisa insists that her father is sick and that she's the one who takes care of him. She even tells the kidnapper that he reminds her of her father, a good man who has never been appreciated. The words strike a chord with the psychopath, and he finally begins to calm down. Later, Lisa lies in bed, where she leaves behind a strand of her hair, and a hairpin as clues. The kidnapper then approaches her once again to assault her, during which Lisa tells him he seems like a good man, and even offers to be his girlfriend. But she says he will have to let her go, so she can continue taking care of her father. Feeling sympathy for her, he asks if there's anyone else who can look after her father, such as a sister, but Lisa says there isn't. Later, the kidnapper watches a news report about the Tampa killer, who has murdered several young women in the past. This leaves him very panicked, and he decides that he has to get rid of Lisa. She begs for mercy, promising she won't tell anyone what happened, and pleading to be taken home so she can care for her father. But the man aggressively grabs her, and drives away. During the ride, Lisa recalls celebrating her birthday with Uncle Jim and Aunt Carol, remembering how happy she was. Not long afterward, the kidnapper stops at a gas station to refuel. While the man is distracted, Lisa bites her finger, and deliberately smears blood on the seat, hoping it will serve as a clue. They continue driving, and soon arrive at an isolated area, where the kidnapper drags Lisa out of the car as she desperately begs him not to hurt her. He pulls out a gun, preparing to end her life, but seeing her break down in tears makes him hesitate. At the last moment, he changes his mind, and orders her to stay there for 5 minutes before removing her blindfold. Lisa agrees, after which the man gets back into his car and drives away. The moment he's gone, Lisa removes her blindfold to notice a big tree in front of her, and starts running for her life. But when the man sees Lisa running immediately, he realizes she disobeyed his instructions, and begins chasing after her. However, he soon loses sight of her, and notices a police car on the road nearby, forcing him to abandon the pursuit. Meanwhile, Lisa manages to make it back to her grandmother's house, where Diane and Morris angrily demand to know where the hell she has been. Lisa reveals that she was kidnapped, but Morris assumes she was out with a boy and decides to beat her, until Diane stops him. Diane then calls a police officer, and informs him that Lisa has returned home, and is claiming she was kidnapped. But Diane claims the girl is lying, so the officer insists Lisa should be brought for questioning, which clearly worries Diane. After hanging up, Diane tells Lisa that the officers are coming to pick her up, and warns her not to tell them anything about what goes on inside the house. The next morning, the police arrive to take Lisa to the station, where she tells an officer everything that happened. He points out that she doesn't have any visible bruises, so Lisa explains that she didn't fight back because she wanted to survive. He then asks if she screamed, but Lisa says no, knowing it would have only enraged the kidnapper. Unfortunately, the officer begins to believe her grandmother instead, and concludes that Lisa made up the entire story for attention. The officer leaves the room, and not long afterward, 2 female detectives arrive to question Lisa. She tells them every detail she can remember, including how she counted 22 steps from the ground floor to the kidnapper's apartment, leading her to believe it was on the 2nd story. However, the detectives find it suspicious that she remembered such a tiny detail during such a terrifying ordeal. Their reaction leaves Lisa completely devastated, and she breaks down in tears, asking why nobody believes her. Elsewhere, several detectives gather to discuss the serial killer who has been terrorizing the town by murdering numerous women. The police have very little evidence, and the only consistent link between the victims is that they were all found tied up with rope. Detective Larry remarks that every attack occurs when the women are alone at night with no witnesses, suggesting that the killer carefully studies his victims and waits for the perfect moment to strike. At the end of the meeting, the female detective from earlier speaks with Larry and asks for his help. She mentions that there's a young girl who they believe isn't telling the truth, and asks Larry to question her. When Larry arrives to speak with Lisa, she refuses to say a word to him. So he shows her a photo of his daughter, and explains that he would do anything to protect her, promising Lisa that he intends to do the same for her. This finally assures Lisa, and she begins to recount every detail about kidnapping with remarkable precision. She describes the color of the car, its red interior and seats, and even remembers the word Magnum on the dashboard. She also gives a detailed description of the apartment, as well as the kidnapper's face, and physical features that she managed to observe. Later, Larry tells the female detective that Lisa isn't lying because the level of detail in her account is extraordinary. He asks her to bring Lisa a fresh set of clothes, so they can keep the one she's wearing as evidence. Larry also wants her guardian's permission to perform hypnosis on Lisa, in case her mind is blocking out any crucial details. Meanwhile, the police inform Lori that they have found her sister, and explain what happened to Lisa. But when Lori tells her mother everything, Betty refuses to believe the story and doesn't even seem to care. On the other hand, Larry contacts Morris to ask for permission to hypnotize Lisa, but Morris refuses outright, and instead asks when Lisa will be coming back home because she has chores to do. Later, Lisa describes her kidnapper's appearance to a sketch artist, but is soon interrupted by Larry. He speaks with her privately and says he had a phone call with her father. Lisa immediately becomes upset, and Larry realizes something is seriously wrong. When he asks what happened, Lisa reveals that Morris isn't her father, and finally decides to tell him everything that had been happening inside that house. Without wasting any time, the police head to Diane's house, where they arrest Morris for his crimes. Lisa then goes to her room and begins packing her belongings, where she finds the goodbye letter she had written, revealing that she was planning to take her own life. Before leaving, she asks Diane why she never protected her, but the old woman has no answer. Larry then takes Lisa to the home of his female colleague, where she can stay temporarily until a permanent home is found for her. The next day, Lisa tells Larry all the places where she left her fingerprints, blood, and hair as evidence during her kidnapping. She also mentions that they stopped at a gas station, before the kidnapper dropped her off, and that it was sometime after 3 o'clock in the morning. Lisa explains that the man seemed obsessed with getting revenge on women, and was an extremely clean and organized person. She also remembers seeing the suspect's car the day before she was kidnapped, a revelation that shocks Larry. Later, Larry tells his boss that all of the kidnapper's characteristics match the serial killer they've been searching for over the past several months. His boss isn't convinced because their serial killer has never let any of his victims live, but Larry argues that Lisa is an incredibly brave girl who somehow managed to survive and escape. He also realizes that Lisa is the one loose end the kidnapper left behind, meaning her life could still be in danger, so he immediately goes to visit her. Larry then takes Lisa to a safe house for minors in the justice system, where she will be protected. The next day, Larry's boss informs him that red fibers were found on Lisa's clothes, and they match the red carpet fibers recovered from all of the serial killer's previous victims. This finally proves that her kidnapper is the very serial killer they've been hunting, and the detectives decide to use the sketch based on Lisa's description to track him down. Later, Larry tells Lisa that he wants to take her back to the place where she was kidnapped so they can retrace her steps. He also reveals that the man who abducted her is responsible for the deaths of many women, leaving Lisa horrified. The detectives then take her to the location where she was kidnapped, and from there they begin driving as Lisa tries to remember the route to the killer's apartment. As she recalls the streets she traveled, her memories gradually guide them to the exact spot where she had been released in front of a tree. Larry immediately informs the police department that they're now within a 2-mile radius of the killer's apartment, and believes they're getting very close. The next day, Larry watches the images of CCTV footage showing people at the gas station in the area. He soon finds an image of the kidnapper that matches the timeline Lisa provided. Meanwhile, another detective named Wolf spots the same kidnapper approaching a group of prostitutes while sitting in his car. The detective approaches him and claims he is looking for a jewel thief and stopped him because the car's details match his vehicles. Wolf asks for permission to examine the car, but the man refuses. The detective then requests a photo of the suspect in his car to show the theft victim, to which the man reluctantly agrees. That night, Wolf is seen still following the criminal's vehicle. While at the station, Lisa is shown several photos of suspects in an attempt to identify her kidnapper. Based on his facial features, she manages to successfully recognize him. So without wasting any time, the authorities move in and surround the kidnapper, whose name is revealed to be Bobby Joe Long. After his arrest, detectives Wolf and Larry search Bobby's apartment, where they find much evidence confirming that everything Lisa described was true. Meanwhile, in the interrogation room, Bobby is shown pictures of all his victims. He then taunts the officers, saying they were only able to catch him because he let Lisa go. He also claims that she was special and different from all the others. The next day, Larry informs Lisa that they have captured her kidnapper. She begins crying, and Larry comforts her by telling her that in just 12 days, she accomplished what they couldn't do in 6 months, and saved the lives of countless women. After that, everyone at the department applauds Lisa's courage and recognizes her as a hero. Later, Lisa calls Lori, who has been worried sick about her, and she thanks her sister for caring so much when no one else did. As Lisa exits the safe house with Larry, she is greeted by her Aunt Carol and Uncle Jim. They apologize for not knowing what was happening at her grandmother's house, and promise that they will take good care of her. Before leaving, Lisa hugs Detective Larry and thanks him for believing in her. Days later, Lisa sends a letter to her mother, telling her that she was wrong to say she could never have a better life. We then see Lisa celebrating her birthday alongside her aunt, uncle, and sister. In the final scene, the movie shows the real-life Lisa standing near the same tree where she was released. She became a sheriff's deputy specializing in sex crimes and working to protect children. She remains friends with Detective Larry, who still calls her a hero, while Bobby Joe Long was sentenced to death for his crimes. Okay guys, thanks for watching. See you again in the next video.